RG3 for sure, man.
Yeah.
I've been around the block. That's all, man. And it's that's why I'm getting involved with you guys, because I see, today's youth being youth. I call you guys youth. You guys are grown men, and but I mean, compared to me, I see your generation getting the shit into the stick from my generation. They call you guys millennials and all this other crap. Like, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. They're freaking snowflakes, and they don't understand. No, you guys understand better than my generation did. My generation got stuck in between the boomers and you guys, and we did fuck all. We sat on our asses and did nothing. We got high and listened to punk rock, and we created all that stupid shit back in the 80s, and we kind of like drifted through it on e-tabs and rave music and all that shit. And then you guys,
those blue dolphins,
you guys are like the baby brothers of all of that shit, going, oh my God, look at the mess they made. And then the boomers, they're just disconnected from your guys' reality, which is really the 21st century. And, a long time ago, I saw that, the world wasn't moving into the 21st fucking century, that there's technologies out there that can change the world, that there's things out there that are going to make the world a better place. But we're living in this draconian freaking baby boomer era where they're in charge of everything. The moneyed interests, they're also those old fucks, are in charge of everything. And you guys aren't getting your chance to really take the world into the 21st century. And so I wanted to get involved and kind of help you guys along, going, you know what? Don't listen to these fuckers. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't get you guys. You guys are the future. You guys are going to move us into the 21st century. And you just got to take the bull by the horns and tell these guys to just go fuck off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, RG3. What is
wow,
that,
you always do your research and dig up the old stuff. That was in my my appearance as a lesbian days.
Dude, you look like the warden of Shawshank Redemption, bro. Andy Dufresne. Dude, so guess when that was actually.
I believe that was our first stream.
Episode 1.
EP1, yeah.
EP1, man. Hold on, we gotta see this. We gotta see this guy, guys. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can pull it up here, figure it out. Look at that guy.
So I shaved to go do this whole thing, right? So I shaved and took the bandana. I wear it often, and I took it off and I said, okay, I'll do this, just the regular slick hair thing and all that. And my wife laughed and said, what are you doing? She's, after a few of those episodes, she said, what are you doing? Just be yourself. Quit doing that. You look, and people have told me I look like a lesbian when I shave. So I'm like,
you do, man. Okay. You look like a lesbian. I can't unsee it.
like there's the older one. There's the ones that look like Justin Bieber, and then there's the older ones that look like me.
Yeah. Well, I picked this out, man. I went through that stream. It was just so cool to watch. I picked that out, man, because even from the beginning, dude, like it seemed like you're focused on helping other people, man. I mean, you're even talking about the millennials right now. He's like, screw everybody that says you're stupid. I want to help everybody bridge that gap,
Exactly. And that's what I see a lot of, like, our generation, the Xers, we're such badasses and everything, but we don't want to help these younger generations move into the future, out from underneath the boot of the freaking boomers, and because they're the future,
right?
They're the ones that have the 21st century by the balls. They know what to do with all this stuff, and the boomers are holding them back, and the Xers aren't helping them. And we need to do that. Our generations need to go out and help these, because these kids are smart. I mean, these younger generations are smart. They've got a lot of technologies that they've grown up with, that they understand, that can help this world become a better place. But they're not being allowed to move it forward. And I think that it's going to take us to help them to do that. It's kind of where that was coming from.
Yeah, man. I I think that's probably a common theme from generation to generation. And then there's those bridge builders. I think you're a bridge builder, man. And I appreciate it, dude, because it's really, really hard to have a lifetime full of knowledge doing something one way and then have something else come along and have to rearrange your brain in such a way that you accept the new way and then embrace the new way. And it seems like you've done that.
And see, I see a lot of guys from my world, you know, I come from the blue collar world. I mean, there's some rough, tough freaking guys that work their asses off their whole life. And they look at this other generation and they're like, "Oh man, I ain't going to give up to them. Screw them," you know? And it's like, you got to be the better person and kind of lay all that stuff behind you. It's like, look, nobody cares that you went out there and sweat and got greasy all day for freaking 12, 14 hours a day. Nobody cares. You want to sit there and have a chip on your shoulder and act like a badass or whatever and be mad at the world. Fine. Nobody cares. They need what you got. They need your wisdom. They need your experience. They need your help. They need somebody that's willing to work and go to bat for them. So go out there and give them that. That's what's going to make the world a better place. That's what's going to help move the world into the 21st century. Not this bitching, whining, complaining. I see it with my generation too. They want to, oh, we didn't have cartoons 24/7, 365. We only could watch them on Saturdays. You guys suck. You know, it's like, get over all that stuff and let's go and let's all make this world a better place, because the Xers have the in-between. You know, we have the technology and we were raised by the boomers and the greatest generation, you know, so.
Dude, you'd bring something up, man. What was it? The Pacific. So the Netflix series that just came out about the Marine Corps, dude. You want to talk about brass balls? You want to talk about something that nobody that's living today, with the exception of maybe like 1,000 or 500 of those guys are still living.
Yeah,
dude, being dropped off in an island in the middle of the Pacific
in a floating tin can,
and praying that when it drops down into the surf, you don't get shot up. But then you got to survive in the jungle against an enemy that is, I mean, philosophically, they don't care about their lives. They just care about the bigger picture. That's a hard enemy to fight, man.
That was tough. And a lot of those men, when they got off that boat, they went straight down to the bottom right there. I mean, they didn't even get hit by the enemy. They were drowning like crazy. I mean, a lot of Marines drowned just because they had, 80, 90 pounds worth of gear on their backs and they jumped off that boat and they were still in 10 feet of water.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. So I kind of I was thinking long and hard about this interview, and I wanted to incorporate the Marine Corps, man, because I know it means a lot to you. And not only just the Marine Corps as the institution, but probably more specifically what it taught you to become like who you are today, right? You and I talked a little bit about it when we hung out in Charlotte, but maybe you can start here by telling us a little bit about your background and how you transitioned from being a Marine to being a crypto influencer.
Well, you never transition out of being a Marine. You know that. Yep. It's just once you've been initiated, it never goes away. I still fold my underwear the same way. Still have to have my belt on the right way. Still, all of those stupid things that still stick in your mind. Still have to sleep the way I do and all that crap. But I was living in the inner city. In southern Los Angeles, and counselor gave me a choice to either spend my next 4 years with the police officer that had me there in that office, or go into the Marine Corps with this drill instructor that was sitting there, well, this recruiter, dressed blues, all just looking sharp, and so I chose the Marine Corps because I knew where the other place was, and I didn't want to go there, and so they stripped me down of everything. I mean, they take your mind, they pop your head open and pour bleach in it and completely wash everything away from you, who you were, from the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you take a shit. I mean, you name it. They tell you how to do everything. You don't do anything for those first 2 weeks without asking permission. It's literally
teach you how to write. They teach you how to write properly.
Teach you how to write, teach you how to talk, how to walk,
how to shave.
I mean, and that was later on. The first 2 weeks is just like walking, talking, and taking a shit. Like you had to, and it was just, from that you're like an amoeba, and then they mold you to a lean, mean killing machine. And when you leave there, I don't care who you are. I seen guys coming out of there sopping wet at 125 pounds, knowing, not thinking, knowing that they can kill anything on the planet.
That's the point.
What you do when you leave the Marine Corps. You are a designated killer, and in your mind tells you that's what you do. You kill everything in front of you. And so very effective brainwashing, very effective training facilities, teaching young men how to be Marines. I think it's one of the most effective brainwashing techniques ever devised on planet Earth, from what I've read and seen. And so so that's who I was, and I did that for years and years, and went around the world and did all the Marine things.
Mm-hmm.
And then hold on a sec, sorry.
Yeah, take your time.
Turn that off. So when I came out, it was back into society, back to the streets that I came from, and all that kind of stuff. Now with a whole different set of skills and a whole different attitude. And I'd like to say that my life got good after that, but it didn't.
Okay.
But I knew that there was a better way of doing things. And eventually, my life took a turn for the better, and I did pull myself out of it. But, to your point about, getting back into the swing of things with, you never really adjust completely from military life, I think. No. I never have. There's always still things that are still there that don't go away. They're just part of you. And a lot of them are good, and a few things of them are just stuff that haunt you and whatnot. But other than that, it was tough for the first few years trying to get back into the civilian lifestyle versus, everything being regimented from the time you woke up and when you had your meals, when you went to the gym and all that stuff. It was hard not having somebody tell you what to do, or not having to do something every minute of every day, that was programmed,
Dude, for me, just to interject real quick, for me, dude, it was just like my world unraveled for 6 months or a year. Because when I got out of that system, dude, it's like you're hard charging, you're gung ho, where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be. You've got the system, and they mold you into this thing, and then it's just like the walls fall off, and you're in the civilian world, and nobody understands. Nobody understands you.
No.
Nobody knows.
And you don't understand it either.
No, it's like, and you're looking at these kids, man. You've been away for 4 or 5 or 6 years, and you come back to people who are like, were you in your 20s when you got out?
Yeah. Yeah. I was in my early 20s. Yeah.
You get out in your 20s, and you're just looking at how people operate, and you're like, oh my God, I could have been that. That wouldn't have been good.
How did I even function? How do these people even function?
Yeah. But you could also fall back on that training when things got weird. You could also fall back on that too.
Yeah. And it definitely, helped me when I did finally get into the trades and started working as a blue collar worker. Like, there was, I can give 100. I knew how to do 120%. Mm-hmm. I knew how to show up early. I knew how to stay late. I knew all that stuff, and I knew how to respect people and how to talk to somebody who I was subordinate to, I was working for, so I fit in real well. And that took me far in that field for sure, for sure.
Cool, dude. So here you are. I wanted to go back real quick. When you were signing up for the Marines, what preconceived notions did you have as a kid going into that office or talking to that recruiter? Do you remember? Do you remember what you thought about the Marine Corps prior to?
Well, because my grandfather was a Marine in the Korean War, and I kind of had a little bit of an idea of what that looked like. The dress blues. The dress blues thing was like it for me. That was like,
yeah.
I remembered seeing his pictures and whatnot, and like, wow, that's, that could be me if I make it through this thing, and just the pride and it's like, wow, like I'm coming from the streets, I'm coming from nothing. I was literally homeless under the bridge, and, thinking that, oh man, I'm going to be one of the few, the proud. I'm going to actually have a chance to go and do that,
Mm-hmm.
And so in boot camp, I really like dug all the history and listening to all of the, because when you're in the Marine Corps, all they teach is the battles that they won and
Right.
and the victories.
You got to memorize it.
Yeah, the Chosen Reservoir and all of that stuff and Ton Tavern when they opened it up and Bellow Woods and all of you got to regurgitate it and
Marine
all
Corps
of those
birthday.
crazy battles that they should have lost and they didn't. They won.
Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff and just the pride you feel about all that. That's what it was to me. It was like this club, this elite club that I was actually going to be part of.
What do you so when you got out, what one or two lessons, looking back in retrospect, did you take from being the Marine Corps that has been most applicable to your life afterwards?
Number one lesson
Mm-hmm.
is that you can push yourself to the edge of collapse, get back up and take yourself again, and then keep getting back up until you just lose sense of pain and fatigue and desire for something nice, desire for some air, desire for some heat or cold. Once you've gotten to that breaking point and you broke yourself, that you can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You actually can, and I've never had to take in the Marine Corps. They took us there, we went there and you got to that point where you just kind of blacked out all pain or cold or any of that kind of heat, anything. Never have had to really do that out here in the real world, but everything has been easy because of that, and that was one of the biggest lessons was being able to take myself to that breaking point and then know that nothing else will ever take me there again.
Yeah. And also know that you could come close to that and still be okay.
And still be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more pain out there than a bear market.
Yeah, man. I love your crypto story tons, man, but I love the you story prior to crypto quite a bit too, man. That's what I'm very fascinated with. So you get out of the Marine Corps, and you mentioned that your life, you expected it maybe, or you thought it might get a lot better at that point, but it didn't necessarily get better. What did you mean by that?
Well, I became a street entrepreneur instead of, going out and getting a good job. I ended up back in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and
with all those skills.
With all these skills, I ended up back in the neighborhood with, more skills and just became a street entrepreneur for lack of better terms.
Got it. And you're in your late 20s at this time, early 30s?
No, I'm actually in my mid 20s.
Mid 20s. Okay.
So I'm in my mid 20s and ended up in Hollywood, actually, working for a radio station and, being an entrepreneur on the side. And that's when things just got crazy for me. Hollywood did not treat me well.
Okay. So I have a feeling that I could take a shovel and dig a lot of that up, but we'll just kind of leave that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story, man. The whole Hollywood days radio station.
We have honor and integrity here, man. We won't do that to you.
All right. Thanks.
All right, cool. So you got a wife and you're a family man of some sort, and and you're
1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah.
1 foot in, 1 foot out. And you're trying to figure yourself out. I mean, you're in your mid 20s. That's normal. I mean, I don't think young men these days really figure things out probably until they're maybe mid 30s in some cases, or 40s. And maybe they never figure it out completely, but
yeah, back then I wasn't married. I was, it was about 28 years old when finally I'd had enough of, running and gunning in the streets and, turn my life around and, stop drinking and doing all that kind of stuff. And that's when things turned around for me. For about 28 years old is when I decided, hey, I'm done with all of the fun and whatnot. whether or not it was fun.
Yeah. So you ended up getting a job in the trades, right? So you
Yeah.
worked at did you work for a company, a warehouse? What'd you do?
Yeah, literally, I was living in a home for ex-cons, and I walked over the hill just looking for a job, right? And I walked in this place that help wanted sign on the wall, and walked in there, and the guy never even looked at me. I said, "Hey, I'm here for the job." And he said, "Yeah, okay, come in tomorrow. You got some boots?" It's like, "No, go get some boots and show up at 5 o'clock." Yeah, yeah. And he didn't even look at me. He was like had two phones in his ear,
Right.
and I was like, "All right." And I had hair down the middle of my back, and everything. So I walked back to the house, and there was a what a Payless shoes or whatever there, and I got me a pair of boots. And the next morning, I got them, walked down there, and showed up at 5 o'clock in the morning. He looked at me like, "Who are you?" I was like, "You hired me yesterday."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, go out there and go sweep the warehouse, and I swept the warehouse for like 3 days, man. I was out there sweeping this big old warehouse, and nobody said anything to me. Nobody came out, so I just kept coming in and sweeping the warehouse. And then finally, someone came up to me and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Yeah, this guy in the office there, it was the owner of the company. He sent me in here to sweep." And so he's like, "Get over here." And they had me clean. It was a rigging company.
Okay.
That's where I started my millwright career there, which is kind of the trade name for a machinery mover. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I started sweeping floors. Before I knew it, I was cleaning up the gear room. And they sent me on the trucks, and the rest is history. I ended up, being a foreman, doing that stuff for almost 30 years, 30 something
Dang.
years.
Do you think when you first got in that day that do you think they were testing you out for 3 days, or do you think they just forgot about you?
I think he just forgot about me, to be completely honest. They didn't test too many people out back then. This was a while ago. It was like they hired people, and if you made it, you made it. If you didn't, you didn't,
Yeah.
I mean, that was back in the days where guys had beer in their trucks, and just it was a different world. It was a different world.
You said how long? You said 30 years?
Yeah, 30 years.
So how's it feel to sum up your whole career by saying, "Yeah, and I just became a millwright and retired as a foreman for 30 years" in one sentence? How's that feel?
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can say it in one word, to be honest, because I don't think there's any coincidences in life, and that job, here I am, I'm an unskilled dude. They wouldn't let me into the police department because I couldn't pass their psych evaluations or whatever it was.
I saw that coming a mile away.
So yeah, I scored like a 96 on their test, but I kept failing their psych analysis thing, so I couldn't become a cop. Yeah. And so that was whatever. And but I don't think there's any coincidences. And that career allowed me to get to where I'm at today. Just, from doing the things that I've had to do as an entrepreneur on the side, supporting my family, met my wife, all that kind of stuff. That job was necessary to bring me all those other things versus fulfillment in my career. I didn't look at that as something fulfilling me as a career choice. I never really did like doing that job. I was good at it. I did a great job. I went all the way to the top levels of it, but it was never anything that like I had in my heart. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was like a get up and go do every day, and it paid the bills and it took care of my family. And it also got me to the place where now I am doing something that's in my heart, and that's what's most important. And it's not about time or about the effort that you put in. It's the journey and then where you end up, So yeah, fulfilled, but irrelevant, to be completely honest.
How quickly did you know that you were, how quickly did it just turn into something that you had to do every day, wake up for and go do and then come back? Like, did you know that immediately? Yeah.
Day one, bro. I didn't like it. I was really fast at my job. I was really fast. And everyone's like, "Man, you're so fast. You do a quick job." And the only reason I was so fast is because I wanted to fucking go home, because I wanted to be done for the day, and it's like in that job, you have to finish your work for the day before you go home. And I just became very efficient and very fast because I wanted to get the hell out of there.
So this is interesting to me. So some people are okay with working for 30 years of their life, and they just like the stability, and they like working for the man, and then they like retiring, and they just sail into the sunset. Other people have a moment in time, maybe when they start their career, where they get their dome peeled back and somebody implants a tiny little seed that starts growing, and they think, you know what, there's something else better out there. Maybe I should start looking into getting the hell out of this purgatory every day. And my question to you is, did that take seed while you were working, or was it towards the end of the career, or what was that little seed that made you think, you know what, there's got to be something better, and I could probably attain it?
So because I was so unfulfilled inside from my job and my career, I was always looking, and plus the need for extra money, I was always looking for something else. And I was an entrepreneur since I was a young kid. I mean, I went to the back of the comic book, and for a penny, you can get a business for a penny, and they'd send you, like greeting cards to go sell door to door. I mean, I did all that stuff. And so in my heart, I was an entrepreneur, and never really got the seed planted until, believe it or not, by chance, through some friends or whatever, somebody gave me Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Now, when was that? How far into your career was that?
Gosh, I don't know. It was pretty early on.
Like in the 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah. It was in the 90s. No. It was in the 90s. It was in the late 90s. Yeah. So I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and that just snapped for me.
Yes.
And something that was really crazy, and I got to tell this story to Robert Kiyosaki himself we were at a party. I said, "Hey, I got to tell you something." I said, well, first I joked about it because I was on his stage, and I told everybody, "Hey, I'm you can thank me for being one of the reasons that Robert's actually here, because when I was a kid, I always wanted one of those. I wanted a Ripper wallet, and my parents we didn't get allowance, we didn't get money, none of that stuff. So I was in the back, and part of that story, the back of the comic book the comic book was, business for a penny. You send them a penny in the mail, and they send you this box, and you go out and you go door to door. Well, the money I got from that, I went to the swap meet out here in SoCal, and I bought me one of those Ripper wallets. Was one of the first things I bought to put money that I'd made in it. And come to find out, when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's the business that started Robert Kiyosaki as being an entrepreneur. He started the Ripper wallet business. He invented that item. Wow. And then the reason he failed and lost his business was because it was being ripped off by the Taiwanese, and they were selling them for cheaper at the swap meets.
How ironic. Ripper.
So I got to tell him that story. It was pretty cool. And but yeah, I was always an entrepreneur trying to make things a little better in my life. And then when I read that book, it proved to me that, hey, anybody can go out and be an entrepreneur. Anybody can turn their whole life around financially by going out and doing the right things and learning the right skills. And it doesn't take your family teaching you it. It could be some other, mentor. And so I started looking for mentors, and, I started finding them in books, and then just going out and starting businesses and failing.
It's interesting to me, RG3, like I've got a very similar story. I got a kind of a similar timeline to you as well, but Rich Dad Poor Dad was the thing that peeled my dome back.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, if you Google Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, there's like a large contingent or army of people online that just call him a scammer, call him a huckster, and this and that. And they say, he's leading people down the wrong path, and debt is not good, and blah, blah. And like, what they don't realize is the amount of people that he has pulled out of the darkness because he changed the way that people view economics and finance and debt and real estate and all that. And I don't know, what's been your experience with, I'm sure you've gifted that book to maybe some of your friends at work or this or that.
Yeah, I gave it to everybody. So on my journey of being an entrepreneur, I ended up in the network marketing business too for a little bit. And I went to the diamond levels in it. And that was the first book I when anybody was becoming an entrepreneur, anybody was coming into the business, when everybody was trying to get started, that was the first book we suggested to them, was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's perfect for kind of, like you said, cracking your mind open and putting that seed in there and going, okay, now let's see where it goes. Because, they can say all they want about Robert, he does his thing and he has his real estate stuff and he does, but that's not what he was to me. To me, he was that guy that cracked my brain open and like you said, put that seed in. And it's not necessarily that I follow his whole system and everything that he does, but his book was eye-opening. And all of his books, I mean, he's got, the Quadrant books and all those other things, Other People's Money, all that. So there's a whole, and I've read all of his books, and there's some very, very good information in there. And I think that he has, kind of set a whole generation of entrepreneurs on their way because of his books and his wisdom. What he was like the first guy to tell everybody, hey, you can do it too. You can do it too.
Yeah. I like to think about it conceptually. Like, let's say you're at Earth and then the sun is so many miles away and you throw a tennis ball at the sun. And then you read Robert Kiyosaki's book, and all it does, it's going towards the sun, that ball is, and somebody just touches it barely. But by the time that ball gets to the sun, it's like 100 million miles away from the sun. Exactly. That one little nudge changes your trajectory quite a bit. And, I can listen to a song, you can listen to a song, it'll have a different effect on me than it will on you. And that might be the thing that sets you on a different path. So I like the way you were putting that. So I guess the next thing that I want to talk about here, what was the next step? What actions were you taking after you had that seed planted? Like, what were you looking at? You were looking at network marketing, or were you looking at real estate, obviously, or like, what were you looking at, eyeballing?
Yeah, well, I started just looking for anything. I mean, It was whatever I can get my hands on. I was trying, I tried, in real estate, I tried in the phone business. And then I started in the health and wellness industry. And then that turned into network marketing. And then there was an entrepreneurial venture to go and get into the e-world, which was esports, video gamers, gaming and whatnot. And I had started, playing video games with a group of friends on the computer, game called Counter-Strike. And that was like, what's that?
Counter-Strike Source?
Yeah. Well, no, the old
before that. Yeah.
The original Counter-Strike.
Love it.
Like I go into my Steam account is like one of the original Steam accounts. I mean, it's old.
Yeah. I've got an old one too. You still play at all? You don't have time to play.
Every once in a while I like go in there and then people still see my name, and I was in a clan and all that kind of stuff. So there's some of the clan members are still playing to this day, but I don't have
RG's he's squinting. He can't even see the crosshairs. He's got to get his hand this close.
I can't hear out of one ear anymore, so I can't hear. I used to have all these badass headphones and could tell where things were coming from and everything. And
so you're a camper now, man. You're sitting in the corner.
Yeah, so now I'm like sitting there with my auto sniper, right?
Yep. Pew, 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 pew. Dude, I feel you, man. No, that's cool. I played a lot of that too. I got an old gamer tag. I think my Steam ID is probably 15 or 17 years old, I'd imagine. So that's cool. So you get into that. You're playing games and stuff, esports. I mean, what does that even look like?
Well, that's when it was first starting to become popular, where they're actually having people compete with one another. And in Counter-Strike, they were doing that often because they had, the leagues. So they had all these leagues, Cal I, Cal M, all these things. And
that's right, Cal. That's right,
Cal leagues, yeah. And so what we did was we built a platform that gave all these teams their own social media page. And then we took control of the servers. So if they were operating servers or whatever, we would take control of them, make sure the game was loaded properly, so there were no bots on it, there was no cheats, any of that kind of stuff. And then they'd be able to compete and write from our site, or they can come and game on our servers. And then we had a marketing campaign that we were going to start doing, that we were going to advertise to different different local advertisements to the people that were in those neighborhoods. They'd actually, a guy could be playing from Texas and see his local ad being played in front of him, and the guy be in New York and his local ad would be playing for him. So we had a bunch of stuff like that we were working on. And then just giving them a social media platform that, counted all their kills, their head strikes, and, this kind of stuff, and statted everybody and gave everybody rankings every week. And then showed it kind of like an ESPN also.
Yeah.
It was on there. So it was a really cool site that we put together. But that was right before the .com crash.
Yeah.
So I was running around all the conventions trying to sell our software, trying to get somebody to adopt it, whatever. And it ended up and that was the time when esports and everything crashed. It was just, .com bubble was busted and nobody wanted to buy anything. So that was like a lot of work. So it put like 4 years of work into that thing and a lot of money,
What would you say? So the cool thing about these, we'll just use failure for lack of a better word. It didn't blow up, the cool thing about those is you get to talk about the lessons that were learned. So what did you learn in that process? Were you trying to create this cool thing and bring everybody together and bring eyeballs and spotlight? What did you learn?
Well, it got me involved with social media, which I would have probably never gotten involved with until, Facebook era or whatever. It also got me to understand what that meant as a marketing tool and what that meant to the world as being something that was going to be valuable. And it also put me in the IRC chat rooms where the Bitcoin talks and forums were at. So I understood early on, before Bitcoin even came out, and what cryptography was and what cryptocurrencies were, because they were trying to, Brock Pierce's guys, they were all trying to sell that stuff to us when we had our platform to make in-game currencies.
Yeah.
So cryptocurrencies existed before that. So the NFTs and all those things were first. Believe it or not. And then we started hearing them grumbling and talking about this Bitcoin thing, and the IRC chat rooms were full of it. It was a buzz with the whole Bitcoin thing. And, when it came out, we were like, we want it's a PayPal, glorified PayPal thing, whatever, with cryptography. We were disinterested. And, and that's kind of what got me to, I would have never even got a glimpse of crypto if it wasn't for that. And, or if it wasn't for me getting into the esports world, I would have never understood social media and everything as well as I do today if I hadn't, So that was the biggest lessons. Was it got me into tech, it got me into the crypto world, and it advanced my brain. I was working with a lot of younger people at that time. That were very, very smart. And so I started having a lot of respect for them, even though, it's my hearing aids.
Take your time, man. Take your time. We slow down for old people here. It's all good, buddy.
Oh, well, I got to disconnect it from my phone. Every time my phone hits it shuts everything off. And
I kind of want to get hearing aids just for the bionic man aspect of it. I want to be able to
really cool, bro.
I know.
Really cool, because now I can super hear things.
There's got to be people who do that. They're ear hustling from across the room. There's got to be.
Yeah, because this stuff's loud noises, knocks and bangs and stuff like that are
jack you up.
Yeah.
So circa late 90s .com bubble, and then you're still at your job. This is side hustle stuff that you're doing here, correct?
It's all side hustle stuff. Yeah.
Got it. So then you get out of the .com bubble, everything crashes and burns, and you're like, damn, I spent 4 years with this, and then things start recovering and you got your job to fall back on. So you're still paying the bills.
Yep.
So at what point do you feel some sort of buoyancy and you're not falling anymore? And you're where was that? And what did it have to do with?
Wow. So there was another, probably decade or so of after that, there was still about a decade of network marketing that I had gotten into still. And because I was a diamond level executive in the businesses, they were always trying to get me back into something else. And so I'd go to one thing and then they'd fail. And
Now
then
that's significant, right? I mean, I can tell it's significant because you're downplaying it. So diamond level in this is legit. So explain to the crowd and toot your own horn here. What's that even mean?
so a diamond level in a network marketing business is, 6-figure plus per
Mm-hmm.
year. You've got anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000 distributors underneath you. You're traveling the world. You're doing seminars. I think we spoke in front of a crowd of 10,000 people one time. And you're being asked to go over here and speak for this group and that group, and you're paid for it and those kinds of things. So I am downplaying it, but yeah, it's a big deal. It was a big honor to get, blue diamond level and some of these businesses that I were in. And then to have them call you and say, hey, we want you on our team. We bring you over, blah, 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 so yeah, so it was a big deal.
Yeah, I could. You were suppressing the smile, so I know I had to ask a clarifying question there. See, I got you. All right. So diamond level, you're doing all that. You get out of the .com bubble. We're looking at buoyancy, and then go from there.
So those companies kept failing me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing out there doing the work, and then they'd sell or they'd go belly up or whatever. And I just started realizing that, man, this world is in the entrepreneurial world of these businesses, I guess there's just a lot of scammers, dishonest people, people that walk away with the money, get something started and then go with the money, and then leave you hanging. I just noticed a lot of that. And during that time was when we were still finishing up our software piece, when somebody had asked me for some Bitcoin for some software work that they had done. So I got the wallet and I got some Bitcoin. I was like, whatever, and send it to them. And there was like 35 bucks left in the wallet or whatever. And then 6 months later, 8 months later, something like that, somebody asked me for some more Bitcoin, like in 2015, and opened up the wallet and there was like 800 bucks in there. I was like, oh shit, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
And so during that whole thing, while I was doing the network marketing, seeing things fail and whatnot, I really stumbled across Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And when I saw that wallet jump from 35 bucks to 800 bucks, I was like, something going on here, And so that's when I dug into the Satoshi white paper. I spent like 72 hours just researching crypto and seeing the cypherpunk movement and going, man, these guys were all around me the whole time. And I kind of missed this thing. And that's when I kind of like found, like you asked earlier, hey, how were you fulfilled with this thing? That's when I like found like, oh man, this, they always used to tell you, your why has got to make you want to cry, and,
right.
In network marketing, I'm sorry, shilling fruit juices and freaking energy drinks and pain patches and stuff just didn't make my heart just go pitter patter and make me, make me want to cry. I knew I was doing some good in the world, getting people healthy, doing that kind of stuff, but I didn't feel like that was that thing. When I read about what crypto was supposed to do to finance, I was like, oh, this is something that can change the world. This is something that I can help other people with. This is something that can break into the financial system as far as our pensions and our 401ks and everything go, and help people out that way. I mean, that would make my heart go pitter patter. That would make me want to cry. If I can get into something like that and do good, then that could be it. So that's when I first got a glimpse of, this looks like it could be my why. This looks like it could be that thing that fulfills me, and that's why I kind of went real deep into crypto right in the beginning. I started trying to dig at the roots and find out, is there anybody any good in this industry? And I'm telling you, bro, there was at that time, 16 to 18, there wasn't a good soul anywhere in this place. No. It was dark alleys. It was scam after scam after rug pull after rug pull after freaking pump and dump room after pump and dump room. I mean, my good friends were like, yeah, man, you got to go and get in this Telegram room right now. Go in there. And they're like, everyone's getting ready to dump on everybody else's head that's in another room. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is just freaking.
It's literally called a pump and dump room. I mean, that's what they name them.
They named them. They were pump and dump rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally had like the main room of the crypto project that was going on. And then there was the pump and dump room where all the bigs that had, the handfuls of money that got the ICO price that, got a 95% bonus, boom, 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 all those, there was like 10 guys in there, and then there was hundreds, maybe thousands in the other room, and they were freaking coordinating the dumps. And that's how they did it. And that's just the way it was. I mean, and it still exists today. It's still out there. They still do this stuff.
Yeah. So tell me, so let's go back a little bit. So you got involved with crypto, you had a guy ask you for crypto once, then a guy asked you for crypto twice in 2015. And then you start just digging into it. All right. So when you first decided to purchase cryptocurrency, I'm assuming, just like many people, you're purchasing like Bitcoin.
That was the only crypto that was there when I got my
right.
Ethereum.
So this is about 2015, 2016, that time frame. So in everybody's journey, at least back then with most people that I talked to, it's Bitcoin, and then you start going down the rabbit hole, and then you realize there's these things called altcoins. Yeah. And that's what's making everybody rich, because Bitcoin's 5 years old and it's done with and is done for, and this and that. And you heard that whole narrative. So what altcoins do you remember playing with back in the day?
So, of course, well, there was this one in particular. I don't know if I should start naming all these things that I was in, but first of all, there's a whole bunch of them that just, I don't even want to name, because
you don't have to. Yeah.
People are in jail that created them or whatever.
Yep.
But, the one in particular that rings a bell that kind of made my whole crypto fortune was that coin called Verge. And
XVG.
Yeah. XVG. Yeah. And, the Pornhub coin or whatever it was at one point. And yeah. So I really got in deep on that one time, and the thing just mooned. I mean, just moonshot it. And I was able to take a lot of profits and whatever, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then of course, losing it all in the crypto space. It's just like a casino. You go to Vegas. Yeah. I pulled the handle and won $5,000. What'd you come home with? Oh, I lost about 1,500 really.
Yeah. And you're rubbing your beard all bashfully, like, damn it, man.
So that was the one that I really recall was Verge. And then I did the Cardano thing, and all that stuff, and I thought I was diversifying properly in Ethereum, of course, and all those, and then did really well. Rode the top of 2018, and thought, hey man, I built a nice nest egg here. I got this crypto thing down. Everything's cool, and then Richard called the top, and the bottom freaking fell out of everything, and that big bag just went,
yeah.
And my wife called me foolish, and a cousin of mine who said, hey man, I'm getting out of this thing now. I said, nah, dude, you got to hold, man. You got to hold through all this stuff. Well, he got out and cashed out, $100,000, put new swimming pools, backyard and everything. And then it crashed after he had done that. So of course the whole family thought he was the smart one. I was the idiot, boom, boom, boom. And, so that's what I had to live with during that bear market. So that was like my horrible bear market, was watching all of my value that I had, just dwindle down to nothing. And
this could have been yours, and you're swimming in this pool. This
I'm sitting in this pool. The family's there. We're having fun, aren't we? We could be doing this at our house,
right?
And so that was my bear market destruction. But of course, I didn't leverage anything into that. That was some fun money. That was okay. I ain't going to be, doing the guys fishing trip the next year or two and this and that and the other kind of money. It wasn't anything, that was, life
didn't hurt you.
It didn't hurt me. It hurt my pride. It hurt because I thought I was doing something cool. I had a nest egg going, and maybe I can use this as a retirement fund. I was really happy about it. But then boom, it went down to zero, and that was, well, not 0, but went down to nothing, and that was it. That was my big pain bear market. And but what it made me do is look, and I started looking because first of all, I was pissed off that son of a bitch Richard Hart called the top. I was like,
Right.
this freaking asshole, you know?
Right.
And then about a day or two after I kind of woke up from that stupor, I was like, well, wait a minute. Why do you dislike the guy that was smart enough to call the top of this thing? You're just mad because it happened, not because he did it. He didn't do it. He just called it. And I realized that. I'm like, well, actually, that guy's a smart SOB. You know, I better start listening to him. And then as I started listening to him, he was talking about making his own crypto. And that's when I was like, might have to follow this guy and watch what he does, because he's saying the right things, you know. And that's what I liked about Richard, was he just seemed like a different cat, you know, from all the rest of these guys that were all shilling promises. They were all Silicon Valley freaking talking promise coin guys, you know, because that was like what was going on in Silicon Valley at the time with this whole .com thing. Because I was watching it, was they put this big old game out there of what they were going to do and how they were going to do it and sell all of their stocks and pump everything up. And then they all dumped it without fulfilling any of the promises.
Right.
And that's what crypto adopted. They started doing that. We're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. And I remember all the white papers and all the pictures with all the websites of all the developers on it and what they were doing and what their histories were and all that crap, you know, but nobody ever did anything, you know? So that was my call to look for somebody who was saying something different. And that was Richard, was just the guy that was saying something different, you know?
So he was, so this is interesting. When I saw him, he was saying the right things, but he looked a weird way to me. And that's what threw me off.
Definitely looked a weird way. You know?
And it just sounded too good to be true. So I want to dig in and kind of uncover, like, did you relate to him because you felt like he was somebody like you, like he's talking your language there, combined with smarts, or like what made you feel like he wasn't scamming you?
Because I saw the stuff. I saw in him that he cared, and that he had the same kind of anger for the space that I had.
Got it.
I saw him when he'd get hot, when he'd get under the collar about something, about another crypto, well, all of them out there. I saw his frustration, and I'm like, that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that same frustration. Maybe this guy is smart enough to go out and do what I'm hoping somebody would do, you know? And I wanted self-custody, because all these things I was in, man, there was, oh, they didn't make a wallet yet. They haven't made a wallet yet. Oh, you invest all your money and there isn't anything yet. And then never a wallet gets made. Or they have their own exchange, and you have to go into this exchange and you can't transfer it to another wallet. The wallet is the exchange. It was just all this weirdness that was going on. And Richard was speaking a different game. And he was frustrated with all this stuff too. And he was the only guy I saw saying, not your coins, not your crypto, or not your coins, you know,
keys, coins, yeah.
Not your keys, not your coins. And so it was just like, he was speaking my language, and I wanted to see what Scooter was going to do. Is this guy going to really do something? And then he came out with Fluid Dynamics coin, or whatever it was. And I was like, oh man, this thing is like over my head. I don't know what the heck these guys are talking about on this thing.
I think that website's still up somewhere. I mean, I saw it last year.
I think it is still up.
Yeah, somewhere.
But yeah, he kind of lost me a little bit there, and then he changed it up, and that's when Bitcoin Hex came out. And I started looking at it, and I was like, man, this might be the thing here. If this guy really does this, if he is who I think he is, and he's building this might be the crypto that changes the whole game. And I saw it from the beginning. I was hopeful at the beginning. And then, you know, as we started streaming about it, as we started looking at it, as we started having Dev Kyle, one of the devs that worked on Hex, come in and start explaining stuff to us very openly. And we had people reading the code. It was just like, wow, you know, he freaking did it. He did it, you know, and that's what got us all, you know, all of us, you know, original guys out here, you know, going and getting back behind Richard and Hex.
Yeah. I would say that when I got in, there was just a tremendous amount of FUD online.
Oh.
And the FUD that I saw, you know, they tried to paint the picture that you and all of the OGs and the people in the community were just the dumbest people on earth.
Yeah.
They had the wool pulled over their eyes, and Richard was not transparent about Hex or the code or anything. And that's, when you really talk to the people involved, the really, really smart people in our community, incredibly intelligent people in our community, you realize that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
So
we actually have the smartest people in crypto.
100%. Yes, I've said that so many times. I completely agree. The smartest people, our weakest person is probably better than 80 or 90% of crypto out there. I'm dead serious about that. So I guess my question is, you got to see, so you started following Richard. He talked about Bitcoin Hex. You got to see the evolution. At what point in time did he separate himself from the rest of the crypto community and where they started throwing stones at him? Where did you see that the most? When it launched, after it launched, before?
Well, it started before. Before he seemed to separate himself, they were already coming at him. They were coming at the community. I mean, I've never seen a Telegram chat room when the hex.com chat room was opened up, and I've never seen so many trolls ever. I mean, it was just like a constant barrage of trolls coming to where Richard finally, came up with, how to treat trolls, like ghost trolls, don't engage, boom, boom, boom. He started laying all these things out, if you engage them, they're just going to keep going at it. It's just going to turn into a fight, and I mean, that chat room was just volatile. I mean, just constantly volatile. And so that just bled into everything else. There were literally other chat rooms dedicated to defaming Richard.
Yeah.
And like doxing him. There was a whole Telegram chat room dedicated to doxing Richard and everything that they could find on him. So right off the bat, there was so much opposition and so much angst within the community that it was almost just naturally that it was just a war had started, and Richard had separated himself. And then he started streaming with people that were coming in and trying to contrary him, trying to, juxtapose him. They would come and Richard had already at that point, I think, had enough. And he was so smart and so quick-witted that he would just blast them.
Yeah.
And it turned into a game for us Hexicans. Like, okay, who's Richard going to destroy this week? And, and the very powerful meme of the Grim Reaper going into the doors with blood coming out of each door, heading to the next one with the names on the doors. That was Richard going in every week and just destroying another YouTuber, another influencer, another Bitcoin maxi, and then it was the infamous, freaking, what's his name? Michael, no, is it Mike? What the hell's that guy's name?
Who was it? What did he do?
He's the one who opposed Richard the first stream. That really he's a maxi. He speaks for them. Peter McCormick.
Oh, Peter McCormick. Yeah.
Peter McCormick, not Michael. Sorry, I'm keep thinking Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor. Yeah.
Peter McCormick had his infamous "You're a scammer" video, where that's all he said to Richard was, "You're a scammer. You're a scammer. You're just a scammer. You're just a scammer." And Richard was like, all right.
He was like, I really, Richard, to be honest, I really like you, but I just think you're the most horrible person on earth, and you're a scammer, and it's disgusting. You're just going to scam so many people. People run away.
Yeah, yeah.
And he wouldn't have a conversation.
Yeah, and he was trying to play he was the strong and wrong character, and he proved himself wrong, and he proved himself wrecked, and his name is mud now. He's the one that over leveraged his house and lied about it and got caught by the authorities for getting a loan out on his place to go buy more crypto and all that stuff. And then it just went from there. And Richard was just it turned into a sport for us. So Richard, it was kind of like an organic snowball effect of how crypto treated him. And then I think that what really happened was, and I can name the person, the time, the place, and it was Tone Vase.
Okay.
And it was his lawyers or some lawyer friends of his.
The two lawyers on stream there. Yeah.
I think that they had gotten so scared of what Richard had done that they knew that he had beat them. Mm-hmm. I think they knew at that point that Hex was going to be better than Bitcoin.
So was it that? So I'm sorry to stop you there. So was that the reason? Were people upset that he wasn't towing the line and pumping Bitcoin's bags, and that's
No,
where
I
they were
think that
coming
he was
after him?
making something. I think he was making something better. So yes, not
Yeah,
towing the line and pumping their bags, but he was making something better. And if look, everybody knew that yield had to be generated through a centralized exchange or through a centralized entity. Everybody
right,
knew that. That's what
right.
was going on. There was no crypto that generated its own
Hmm.
yield. It just didn't happen. And Richard programmed it into the inflation model of the coin and turned it into an inflationary deflationary token. And they all knew this. Look, if this guy can figure it out and understand and know what it is and go, oh my gosh, this is going to change crypto, they figured it out too.
Just
They figured
hate,
it out.
man. Just
And
hate.
it's hate. And it's
Vitriol.
but they've got big bags, bro.
Yeah,
Look, you'll do anything to protect your money.
I know.
You
I
know,
know.
that's what we have to look at. And so they're scumbags for being who they are and doing what they've done, and for not, going, okay, you're right, maybe this is, and we should change our investments too and
But
do
at
it
the same
subtly or
time,
whatever. But they didn't. They fought it. They tried to make Richard look like a scammer. They
yeah,
tried to make this thing look false, fake, whatever you want to call it. And we've proven them wrong. We've
right.
proven them wrong. And they can't deny that. And now they're just going to try and keep us quiet. I think they're really scared about what's going to happen in this next bull run,
You
because
know,
DeFi is going to shine.
yeah, dude. The slingshot's being pulled back right now,
Yeah.
and there's a couple things that could let loose that rock and that sling. And Hex, here's one thing, man. I want people to use this talking point more, and that's these charges came out from the SEC, and nowhere did you see the word scam, nowhere did you see the word pyramid, and nowhere did you see the word Ponzi. And that was most of the ammunition that I heard when I got in later on were those three words. So I just want everybody to point that out, because when you hear that, you could say, well, the biggest financial enforcement agency in the world did not make mention of any of those three words in this entire thing. And these were major Bitcoiners that were levying these accusations against Richard and Hex, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had a defamation lawsuit multiple times. I mean,
Yeah.
he could have done that, but I mean, so it shows, the history is showing that, okay, we were right then,
Yep.
we're right now.
Yep.
So where are we going to be the next roll around? Where are we going to be? Are we finally going to be completely vindicated? Because they don't call us a Ponzi anymore. They don't call us scammers anymore. We're just that loud community. Now we're just, that obnoxious community. Now it's all about
the
Richard's
trailer
character.
park. Yeah.
Yeah, the trailer park narrative, and that we're dumb and that we're just followers. Oh, now we're just following Richard. Okay, Richard got lucky, and now we're just following him. And it's not about the research that we all did and the reason that we're behind. Look, I'm not behind Richard because he's going to show me how to go and pick up women, or he's going to teach me how to eat, or he's going to show me how to work out, or he's going to show me how to live a better family man life. That's not why I follow Richard. Those are the things that cults are full of, people that do that kind of stuff. Sure. I follow Richard because he's a brilliant guy in the crypto space, and he made some really good products that the world needs and deserves to see without the narrative that's out there. So he needs some good people behind it to help change the narrative. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm fighting so hard. And because they're keeping good people away from good products, from good things that can change the fiat world, that can change the crypto world, I'm zealous about it. I'm going to come at you hard, because those guys came at us hard, and they hurt a lot of people. They've hurt the price of what we've all invested in. In fact, some of them, if we look at it, some of them should be held to account for that. Some of the entities that have come at us, the centralized exchanges, Uniswap, all of these things, they owe us, the SEC, they owe us money now, the way I look at it. They're the ones who have done the harm, who have damaged. We've never damaged anybody. The SEC has come at me 4 times. I don't know of any other crypto person that has had the SEC investigate them 4 times. And I'm just some new guy that's a community developer that has absolutely nothing to do with the invention of a cryptocurrency.
You're just talking about your opinion online about this cool thing.
Yeah, just my opinion on it, and that's
Yeah.
it. And I've already been investigated 4 times by the
Mhm.
SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and nothing, and it's a big nothing burger. So once again, we're right. We're on the right side of history, and we're doing the right thing. So guess what? It's making me come out even harder, even stronger, with more passion. I'm convicted. You know,
Mhm.
I talk. Somebody asked me, if I was, how I was in this thing, and whether or not I had my whole heart in it. And I said, yeah, I was, in it, and now I'm convicted. I am convicted to this thing. And
You're probably, I mean, you're galvanized now. You're pissed. You're loyal. You're a loyal dude. And but I think most importantly, you're loyal to the truth. Am I correct in saying that?
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's what it's. I mean, what the only thing a man really has is integrity.
Correct.
That's it. That's it. And in this game here, there's not too many people that have it. I think Richard Hart has integrity, and what
Yeah.
he's done, he lends that integrity to us by us going out. Like, I've said this a lot of times, that there's a lot of good crypto communities out there. The XRP army, there's some good people out there
Mhm.
behind these projects. But the reason they haven't thrived is because the projects have failed them, or continue to just promise and not deliver. And that's different here in Hex. See, we can fail and be, weak at our game and not do much, because Hex is behind us the whole time these last 4 years, not failing, doing what it's supposed to do, and never having any downtime. That's what we got behind us. So we don't have to be a real good community, to be completely honest. We've got a
Sure.
good crypto behind us. So we've got people falling off all the time, people coming in and coming out, people
Mhm.
making mistakes, people doing stupid stuff on building things that don't matter, or that have rug pulled.
Mhm.
Our community hasn't been all upstanding, but Hex has, and so
Mhm.
that's why our community continues to thrive. And for those of us who just stand behind Hex, we're unstoppable, and we're not at fault for anything. I've never hurt anybody. Even my buddy who got in at the top, he's just sitting on market, capitulation right now.
Mhm.
That's the only problem he has, and he did the right thing. He continued buying all the way down into recently,
Mhm.
and change his dollar cost average, and so nobody's ever been hurt by anything that Richard's done, said, or any of us have done or said.
Yeah, and it's actually completely the opposite. There's been a lot of pain that has been perpetrated against the Hex community, man. And the unfortunate thing about this is there's also other damages, which is, the SEC comes after you, the FBI is knocking at people's doors, and that's taxpayer money too.
Yeah. So we're
And
paying for that.
correct, everybody's paying for it, and that's one thing that kind of falls by the wayside sometimes. But it's not just Hex people; it's everybody. Um, so here's the thing, man. We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes. I typically keep these in an hour, but I think this has been a really cool conversation, man. And I appreciate you being open. I didn't chat. I didn't tell him that I was going to be kind of going this deep into who he is and what he's all about. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think maybe there's a couple people here that
Hey,
want to jump in real
what's
quick.
up?
So we're at the Blockchain Center in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and of course, with Kaylin and SJ here, they're getting ready for the tour Saturday, and you're coming out, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
if we can, we want to tell everybody, hey, get to Atlanta and come see us at the Pulsechain tour. We're going to have a good time. I don't know if you know, but the Atlanta Blockchain Center here, these folks they're Hexicans. Like, they're literally teaching people about Pulsechain, and they've got an incubation lab that they're actually building on Pulsechain.
Oh my gosh.
He's done the research out there and discovered that the best blockchain to be building on today is Pulsechain. And this guy doesn't know who we are. We don't know who he is. We just happen to, get involved with this location because Black Hexican said, hey, can we do an event here? And he said, why, sure. And then we kind of met, and then come to find out he's a Hexican, sacrifice for Pulse, sacrifice for PulseX, and he's helping people build on Pulsechain, like outside of our whole ecosystem, like stuff we don't even know about. And it's just crypto people finding a good product and starting to work on it.
It's a great product, man. And here's probably the most mind-blowing statistic that I've seen recently here. And because of Richard Hart, because he created Hex, to be completely dead honest about this, and he created Pulsechain, he's the reason why we have a layer 1 Pulsechain. And there was an illustration that came out, and there was 189 projects represented on Pulsechain already. I think that if you were to go to other layer 1s out there, 189 self-funded projects without VC money is absolutely non-existent in the crypto world. And that is a testament to really the people who built Hex. And then, I mean, they took that money and they're building out Pulsechain now. So I think that's great. I think that's one of the biggest selling points for me personally. What do you think about this community being so self-funded as opposed to begging for VC scraps?
It's organic. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And then to see this here, like to see a group of people that, you know, they've got a think tank together. They've, like I said, they got this incubation lab that they've got put together. To see them going, hey, well, the best L1 for us to be building on is Pulsechain. So they've got all these projects being built on Pulsechain. Now, this is outside. What's the chance of us just there's got to be more of this going on around, you know, the world. So it's not just by chance. There are people seeing this and wanting to use it because it is the most decentralized L1 out there. The numbers are proving it. I mean, the numbers every day, we're killing it in volume. We're killing it in everything out there.
Yeah.
And wait till the bull run comes. I mean, and then Scooter proves itself. When Pulsechain really proves itself, gets a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, you know, I mean, if it keeps doing what it's doing, there's no downtime and everything's working flawlessly. And we still have, you know, we've got, you know, 200,000 validators online and versus, you know, 45,000 or whatever it is now. I mean, it's just getting better and better. But
this cycle will solidify Pulsechain as long as, like you said, if we don't have any hiccups that would push that timeline further down the road. I agree.
Exactly.
I'm going to just thank you so much, Tooz Pookie, for the $20. He says, you know what they say? You just go out there and give it 110%. That's right. 100%. I
want to say hi to Tic Tac real quick. I haven't seen her in ages.
Yeah.
Around. Good to see you, Tic Tac.
Tic Tac, shout out. Bullish Ox, you know what they say? He said the same thing. Give it 110%. Thank you very much for that. And then Ted DeFi says the same thing too. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate that. All right. All right, let me check chat here a little bit. Tic Tac says, Rags and RG3, thank you for all you do. You're absolute legends. Tic Tac, don't ever say that again. Okay, I think we don't appreciate that. Both of us don't. So here's the thing, man. We're going to wrap this up, and I'm just going to I thought long and hard about what type of ending question that I was going to ask you here. So this is the question I want to ask you, man. If you're on stream with Richard right now, or actually if Richard was watching this right now, which he could be, what message would you give to him about the state of the community right now?
I'd say it's probably exactly where you want it to be. Those that have been strengthened by all of this that's been going on are still here, are still being strengthened, or sitting, you know, back licking their wounds, like these two gals here. And what he did was he set the tone for it to be completely organic. And what if, you know, at first, like there were times where I was like, man, why can't Richard just throw us a bone? He doesn't even compliment me. He throw us some money. Throw me some hex, you know, do something, bro. Come on, man. And the longer and longer I thought about it, the more and more I understood what really had to happen here was organically this community had to build. Right. Organically, this community had to be annealed and forged in the fires of everything that has come our way. We had to go out and do these things and fail, you know, and have marketing failures and, you know, putting the names on the side of things that didn't work. And, you know, all the things that we've done as a community, you know, it took all that organic growth, all the things that we're doing to get us where we're at today and to build the strength within the community that's here today. And I just tell Richard, it's here. You did it. you did it by keeping your hands off of it, and just guiding us in the subtle ways that he does guide us. You know, everything Richard does and says is cryptic. I mean, if you've ever talked to him or communicated with him via Telegram or anything, it's very cryptic, very short, very sweet, you know, words that he says to you if you ask him any questions or whatever. He's, you know, never come to me like personally and said, hey, I want you to do this, or I want you to do that. He's never done that. And that has given all of us the ability to go out and grow, to look at the things that he's said and trying to apply them and figure it out for ourselves. And it's made us all stronger because it's made us all come together. So those of us who are all together in this, you know, we understand that. Those that we've all met, and we understand, you know, what Richard has put together. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Good job on building an organic community and keeping your hands off of it and letting it grow and do its own thing.
Wisdom right there. Absolutely. This quick comment. We need the counter argument to help onboard newbies. Can you make the video? Is RH really a scammer? So this is difficult because I'll speak on this real quick and I'll let you speak on this. The only thing that you can really do is you can give people all the information that they need to make an educated guess or decision, and then you just leave them alone. You know, you can follow up and this and that. One good thing, man, I think this was a great video outlining and digging into, you know, why you trust Richard. And I think that those first person accounts probably have a lot to do with people building trust. There's reaction videos that I personally done. I hate to show my stuff, but I've done so many reaction videos that just take these arguments line by line and then break them down, even mathematically in some cases. And I would just listen to his videos, go back and listen to the man. I think that's important too. What are your thoughts?
I think that's exactly it. You know, coming from the streets and learning how to deal with people and how to survive by having to deal with people. You know, I learned a lot about human nature, and watching all those hours and hours and hours of Richard streaming. Like you said, there were reactions to things that you would see Richard. First of all, you can tell that he was a mentally healthy person by the way he talked and reacted to things. And then the way that he pivoted on things at times when he needed to, and the way he expressed angst against the things that he needed to express angst against. And then how he calmed himself when he knew that the trolls were just, you know, trying to troll. And I just saw a lot of things in Richard, and then a lot of things where I saw his heart open up, you know, and I saw the human side of him. You didn't see it all the time, but you'd catch it every now and then. You know, and there's like a moment in the movie when he's talking to Lamont and Kelly about, he's out in Spain or whatever. And, they're asking him, you know, why are you doing this? Or what are you doing this for or whatever? And if it's not for money, and he looks at them with these doe eyes, like, I want to be loved.
Yeah.
You know, and you just see the realness in Richard and what he's trying to convey to people. It's like, you think I'm doing this to rip people off? You think I'm doing this to get hated? Do you think I'm doing this because I don't want people to care about me? No, I'm doing it because I want people to love me. Yeah. And you see it in him, you know. I met his father. I've met Richard. I mean, there's just a certain amount of interaction that you have with a human being and his surroundings, the people around him, that you start to understand and trust him.
Now, and as time goes on, every second that Hex survives, every second that it's not rug pulled, like you build more and more trust, right?
More and more. Yeah. And I've gotten to the point now. I mean, I've spent, you know, this is like a tour in the Marine Corps that we've spent here with Hex now. We're going on 4 years. Yeah. This is like a whole tour, you know. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of emotions passing back and forth between human beings. It's a lot of ups and downs and fluctuations and work that's all gone on, you know. And so you just start to become part of the system, part of what's going on here, and part of what Richard has created. And you start to understand him and what he's done and where he's going with it. And we're all a part of it now. You know, part of this thing was to develop a community that was going to take it there with his message, you know, and that's what we've done. And we all feel part of that now. And I think that Richard's, he's always said that he's pleased about the community. He's always said it's the best community in crypto. You know, he gives us that praise. So I know that Richard is pleased with what what we've created here for him, you know, and we're going to advance. We're going to be the ones that advance his crypto to the next level.
Yeah, dude, I don't even care about the rest of crypto. I don't even think about the rest of crypto. I think about the Pulsechain umbrella and everybody inside. I think about the Hexkins, all the friendships I've made. I don't even care. I'm so focused, and all of my energy is tied up in making this work in whatever way we need to make it work. And I'm sure you feel the same way because you're doing it.
I do, but the Marine in me wants to choke every last one of them motherfuckers to death.
I think we could go on a spree, dude. I think we could knock some souls down a couple before we got caught.
I'll tell you what, yeah, that's another thing. The Hexkins are full of a bunch of ex-military guys. I wouldn't want to be messing with the security detail at the Hex conference.
No, that would be bad for somebody's health, I believe.
Very bad.
All right, dude, RG3, we're going to count them down. We'll get you in the green room. Thank you so much, man. Honor having you on. I don't take it lightly, and I appreciate you, man.
Honor being here with you. Don't like this guy, don't subscribe, guys.
Negative Ghost Rider. Thanks, guys.